Prime Minister, President Michel, Vice President Schinas, welcome to GRNet, Center of Excellence at the Ministry of Digital Governance of the Hellenic Republic, responsible for many digital solutions deployed, especially during the last very challenging year. We're very excited to be hosting you here today in order to present the EU Digital COVID Certificate. Let me start by a brief outline, because prior to the deployment of the digital certificate on an EU basis, per the proposal of our Prime Minister, we had deployed national digital vaccination systems within member states, and this was the case in our country. So those two systems needed to match, needed to adapt to each other on the basis of complementarity. So a few words first about the Greek national digital vaccination system. It's a digital system A to Z. It's proactive. It has 4 channels to book your appointment. For those without digital skills, instead of using call centers, we decided to employ the pharmacy stores in Greece to book your appointments physically, or the citizen service centers. Cumulatively more than 12,000 points across the country. But of course the innovation involved the 2 digital channels that we had, either the booking platform, which was the classical solution, let's say. On top of that, we built the e-prescription system, which we instrumentalized, and on the basis of the data that we had, we proposed appointments to Greek citizens for their COVID vaccine. More than 3.5 million individuals have been inoculated so far using this system. So we had this capability, and through this capability we issued an original certificate, which was a health certificate, of course, not the EU proposal as it was augmented afterwards. So the question became how to match this with EU capacities. The EU digital certificate for us as technologists is one of the greatest interoperability projects in the EU. It's, as we say here, with the startup culture of this place, a burning platform, a first significant instance where the basic systems across the EU can start interoperating in the health sector or in many other sectors as well. Of course, always with fundamental guarantees for data privacy, security, and trust. The EU showed significant leadership in deploying this, and we want to thank you for this. We had to navigate a complex landscape of diverse registries within member states, but across the EU as well, databases and services, what we could describe as a digital choreography. And if we hadn't done that, this is how interactions would have looked like across member states. We would have needed to interact bilaterally with each other, and this would have been a very difficult landscape to navigate. So that was the proposed solution. This is what we're deploying per the initiative of the EU. And this technology, this architecture of interaction involved a very close coordination within member states. On the left of the slide, you can see our own architecture on a broad basis between the vaccination registry and the COVID registry, together, of course, with the capabilities deployed by the EU. What we effectively needed were 2 things. First, common issuance rules. This certificate needed to be common for every member state, and this is what was provided to us by EU institutions. Second, we needed a verification platform, a way to verify that these documents across the continent are original. Both of those instruments were provided to member states by the EU, and today we're very proud to say that we're ready on our behalf to deploy the Greek version of the platform. The implementation timeline, as you very well know, was extremely dense. Since March, we had to very aggressively deploy code and interact with other member states and EU institutions. We ran an official dry run between ourselves, Germany and Iceland, and today we're ready to present the outcome. Needless to say, the EU COVID-19 digital certificate is further enabling us to develop an ecosystem of solutions. So to give you one example of the add-ons that we're contemplating, that we're discussing right now, they involve our PLF, our passenger locator form, where the certificate will be integrated. But on top of that, for instance, one challenge that we have is for those who have conducted the PCR test instead of being vaccinated or having contracted the virus, which expires after 72 hours. So the question becomes for a tourist, how can a tourist be issued a new COVID certificate after having spent a significant period of time in a member state. So in our case, we will use the PLF, we will match it with the capacities of the EU, and we will be able to issue Greek digital certificates for tourists if they have their own test in Greece. On a final note, let's run the demo. So this is the government platform also deployed here, gov.gr, which involves more than 1,000 services. This is how the service will look like. For GDPR purposes, let me say that Mr. Marios Menexes doesn't exist. It's a fictional persona, so all these numbers are fictional. One will be writing their identification numbers. This is the social security number, the tax number. We plan to integrate these numbers in the coming years. Actually, the COVID-19 experience has enabled us to deploy a very aggressive interoperability strategy domestically. So now, the document has been issued. This is exactly how it looks like. And I mentioned before that we have a verification platform deployed. So the code for the verification application has been provided to us by the EU, and we have customized it, every member state. So we have the Greek application. This application will be used by border agents in order to verify whether the document is accurate or not. So by pressing the QR scanner, and this is not a classical QR, this is a cryptographic QR, you can only read it with the application. It has been read.
Proof of vaccination.
And we can tell that the document is correct. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be presenting this technological solution here today. Prime Minister, the floor is yours.
So, thank you, Kyriakos, Charles, Margaritis. Welcome to GRNet, and it's a real privilege to have you with us today at what is essentially the technology hub for the Greek government. What we find very impressive, and I'm sure you also sensed it during your brief tour, was this startup culture which exists within the team, which has been able to develop a whole array of digital services within a very, very fast time framework, and we're very proud about the work that the ministry and the team has done in terms of facilitating Greek citizens, Greek businesses in their interaction with the state. Of course, COVID acted as a big accelerator for all our digital services, and it became very, very obvious to us, and to me personally, when we communicated at some point at the beginning of the year, that we would need a European tool that would be nothing more than essentially a fast lane that would facilitate travel. This is particularly important for Greece as a tourism country, but I think important for every single member state, because what we want to do is we want to restore freedom of movement. So what we have developed here with the assistance of the Commission is essentially what we call now the EU Digital COVID certificate, which is nothing more than a complicated interoperability tool that integrates national data into an EU platform in a safe and protected manner. You saw the demonstration. It is very, very simple. Essentially, it includes all the information that a member state would need to welcome a traveler without imposing additional restrictions. Proof of vaccination, a proof of negative test, PCR or antigen, or a proof of illness. As you can tell, there's a lot of work that was done behind the interface, behind what the customer or the citizen actually sees. And I do want to congratulate the team, but also the Commission in terms of making sure that we stick to a very, very tight deadline. And of course, politically, it was also important to get the necessary approval. You know very well that the trilogue discussions were complicated, but we did manage to find a compromise between the Council, the Commission, and the Parliament. Thank you, Margaritis, also for contributing towards that direction. So now we have the legal framework. We, as Greece, we're ready to launch this digital certificate earlier than July 1st. And of course, we encourage every member state to make sure that we stick to the deadlines in order to avoid the complicated bilateral ties that we would have established had we not had access to such a digital tool. Let me again repeat that the purpose is not to divide citizens. The EU digital COVID certificate is nothing more than a fast travel lane. It will make travel much easier, especially during the summer, particularly, again, let me repeat how important this is for us. And let me just conclude by saying that this initiative represents the very best of Europe-wide cooperation. But above all, it's a reminder that our best, the EU can become an incubator of ideas, of innovation, and of solutions that can drive change in a rapidly changing world. So with that, let me hand it over to the President of the European Council, Charles. Again, thank you very much for visiting us today.
Thank you, my dear friend Kyriakos, dear Margaritis, and dear friends. I'm very pleased to be here today in Greece with you. You know that when we faced this huge crisis, COVID-19, we understood very quickly that it was key to cooperate at the European level in order to defeat the virus. And of course, the first priority is the vaccination, and that's why we decided very quickly to invest a lot of money in order to make sure that the world would be able to develop technologies as soon as possible. What we did in less than 1 year is a huge achievement, and the European Union, we played a very important role. And over the last months, it was very important to increase the production of vaccines in order to make sure that in all the member states, it would be possible to have vaccines, to administer those vaccines to the people, to the population, and this is the top priority. And you know that the last weeks, everywhere in Europe, we made a lot of progress, and we continue to accelerate the vaccination, but also to support the third countries, our partners everywhere in the world. It's important to demonstrate our country's solidarity because we won't be safe until everyone is safe. And I remember very well, my dear Kyriakos, a few months ago when you initiated this idea at the level of the European Council, and I commend you because it was key to prepare the moment when it will be possible to lift the measures and to reopen the societies. Of course, being cautious, that's why it's important to make sure that all the member states will have the same level of information. This is a great achievement. Indeed, it was not easy, but we worked a lot with the Commission, with the European Parliament, and a few days before the last European Council in Brussels, we got an agreement with the Commission and with the European Parliament, and we will be able to implement this COVID certificate in the next days, in the next weeks. But I'm very proud to be here for the first time in Greece. You announced this important tool that will be implemented and that will be key for our citizens everywhere in Europe. And you mentioned something that's important. The free movement of people is a great European achievement, and it's why it's so important to demonstrate after this COVID crisis that you are able again to guarantee the free movement of citizens. Thank you for this very strong signal. And again, I'm very proud to be here with you. Congratulations to the minister, to the team. And we felt this startup energy, this startup atmosphere here. And that's why I decided not to put a tie today.
It's probably the right choice. Margaritis.
Kalimera, Sir President, Prime Minister Kyriakos. After what we saw here, it is very clear that the certificate is becoming a reality. And we came a long way because at the beginning of this process in January, there were very few believers in this idea, and there was lots of skepticism as to whether Europe could actually get there. I'm very happy that we managed to produce this big European agreement. It is a tangible proof that Europe can deliver when solidarity meets determination. Solidarity, because very much along the lines of what we did on vaccines, this is a pan-European product, the same across the 27 member states. Solidarity because the freedom of movement is at the heart of our union and is the cornerstone of the European way of life. Solidarity because from the Commission we financed this project at the beginning of it, at the technical preparation, but also at the end of it, after the trial of negotiations, where we provided 100 million euros to fund extra PCR tests for certain categories of people.
Souvenir.
Determination also because this was done in record time. This is a proposed regulation that was agreed in 2 months. Normally it takes years for such a process to conclude, but also determination because this is a very European product according to our values. It respects our data protection requirements. It's fully compatible with our data, with our privacy settings, with security, so Europeans can use it without any fear. Let me say also that it's particularly timely that we are meeting in Greece because this process has a very strong Hellenic color. Not only because Prime Minister Mitsotakis was the first to launch the idea in early January, not least because Charles Michel very skillfully brought EU leaders along this process, but also because the Greek preparations, the Greek platform, which we just saw, is one of the first to be functionally ready, very much along the lines of the Greek recovery plan, which was also ready amongst the first. So this is another proof that things go well in this country. And as we now prepare for the Greek summer, let me wish everybody open and safe mobility across Europe. Well done to all those who worked for this remarkable European success.
Perfect.
Thank you
Very much.